Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's Thursday night, our Women's Advanced Bible Study night, the 29th of June, 2023. And the topic inside the class will be Hebrew Israelite women's perspective. From different perspectives from different Israelite women. Then we just dialogue. Okay. It's Women's Night. It's Women's Night. Gotta come in through YouTube. Okay. Let everybody know this is Prophets of Awakening. You can go to our YouTube channel, Prophets of Awakening, check out our videos. A lot of information is given, and the videos will connect dots for you, lead you into the truth of the Holy Scriptures. If you like what you are hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. And if you want to donate or support the channel, you can see the information running across the bottom of the screen. Okay. For those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel, and it's by saying non-Messianic, we mean we only deal with the Old Testament. We don't subscribe to the New Testament, but we deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament, which is also called the Book of the Law. Okay, that was given to Moses by the Lord of hosts. So shalom and welcome to Prophets of Awakening, and welcome to our Women's Advanced Bible Study night. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, psalms, some women's health moment, do some current events, open up for some Q&A, and then we'll go into the topic, which is Hebrew Israelite or women's perspective. Okay. So with that being said, this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days, final captivity. Oh Lord, we thank you for your great power and your great mercy and your wisdom, and we tarry waiting for your powerful deliverance of your people. We come this day, doubtless that you will appear and that you will gather your nation from among these wicked Gentiles. Okay. Oh Lord, you spoke through your prophet Isaiah, and you said that you would help Abraham's seed, that you have scattered. You have completed that promise as of this day, because we are waking up all over the world. And you said, oh Lord, that you would remove the darkness from around us. Tarry not, oh Lord, for the latter days are here. We are waiting and watching for you, oh Lord. Peace be unto you. Okay, somebody gonna read the Psalm?
Shalom. I'll be reading Psalm 65. Psalm 65 and verse 1. Praise waiteth for thee, O God, in Zion, and unto thee shall the vow be performed. O thou that hearest prayer, unto thee shall all flesh come. Iniquities prevail against me. As for our transgressions, thou shalt purge them away. Blessed is the man whom thou choosest, and causest to approach unto thee, that he may dwell in thy courts. We shall be satisfied with the goodness of thy house, even of thy holy temple. Be terrible things in righteousness wilt thou answer us, O God of our salvation, who art the confidence of all the ends of the earth, and of them that are afar off upon the sea, which by his strength setteth fast the mountains, being girded with power, which stilleth the noise of the seas, the noise of their waves, and the tumult of the people. They also that dwell in the uttermost parts are afraid at thy tokens. Thou makest the outgoings of the mornings and evenings to rejoice. Thou visitest the earth and waterest it. Thou greatly enrichest it with the river of God, which is full of water. Thou preparest them corn when thou hast so provided for it. Thou waterest the ridges thereof abundantly. Thou settlest the uh, furrows thereof. Thou makest it soft with showers. Thou blessest the spring thereof. Thou crownest the year with thy goodness, and thy paths drop fatness. They drop upon the pastures of the wilderness, and the little hills rejoiceth on every side. The pastures are clothed with flocks. The valleys also are covered over with corn. They shout for joy. They also sing. And here is what I take from it. David is talking about um, the people getting ready to praise God for what He's going to do for the Lord of hosts, what He's going to do for them in this land that they've come. They've been praying and waiting, and they know of Him from the past of how He has even saved them in their transgressions. And so, to me, it's saying that He is a God is a gift giver. If you pray to Him for what you want, that He will bless you. Here they were, to me, this is going back when they were in, these are the Israelites, and then they were in Canaan, and they were praying for water because that area gets a drought, and they were praying so that they can have the first fruits to give unto the Lord of hosts. So that's what I got out of that.
Okay. Anybody else?
Shalom. I got the same thing that he's so powerful, and by saying that he has enriched the earth, my thing is that no one has um, the earth has never turned on us. We turned on the earth, and God has made this earth so beautiful. Um, we should not want for anything that the earth that the earth can provide for us. We shouldn't have a need to say, "Wish I wish this would happen," because God has made this earth so great, flourishing when the rain comes or whatever happens. He has made this earth so great, and we are blessed to have it.
Okay, yeah. So one of the things about one of the things they did and kind of threw us off on when it comes to uh, knowing that David is the Messiah, and then when they concocted JC is that most of these songs is David, and these songs are was written when they have the high feast days, like when Israel is in the three feast days when David talk about the great congregation when they all tribes come together and they end up in the temple. And he said that's when David's spirit raised up because he said he's gonna proclaim the Lord in the great congregation. So these are songs. David wrote a lot of these songs for them to use in the temple. You got a whole race of men, they just singers. And David wrote these songs for them. And most of them is praise and worship for them. So this right here, chapter 65 is no different. It's a song of David, right? Song of David. You know. So the first thing I wanted to shine a light on was it says verse 8. They also that dwell in the uttermost parts of the are afraid of thy tokens. So we talking about David talking about the Lord of hosts, his tokens. So thou makest the outgoing of the morning and the evening to rejoice. So talking about the sun and the moon. Them tokens. Sun and the moon, tokens. So then when the sun come up, we rejoice, and the sun go down, the moon is out at night. That's something to rejoice about. So that's what he's talking about. So this other one is, which is I think is devastating. You go to beginning. First of all, I'll show you that in the creation. So David's, and you'll see what David's talking about. You go to creation, And you'll see that. Let me get it. Let me see. Yeah, chapter Genesis 1, verse 9. This is the 6, 7 days of creation. This third day. God said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered together under one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass and the herb yielding seed and the fruit trees, right? And let me find out part of that. So yeah, verse 6, second day. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, right? And let it divide the waters from the waters. So it's two sets of water. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament, which is the sky and the stars. So it's a group of, it's water under that. That's the water we deal with on the rivers and the streams and all that, and the oceans and the sea. That's the water under the firmament. But he got another part of the water that's over the firmament. And he says in 7, and God made the firmament and he divided the waters that were under the firmament and the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. So this is what David talking about. You go back, you'll see it says in 9, thou visited the earth, thou watered it, thou greatly enriches it with the rivers of God, which is full of water. Thou prepared them corn when thou hast so provided it. Thou watered the ridges. Remember, Lord hosts is on the moving on the water in the very beginning. So he says, thou watered the ridges thereof abundantly. Thou settest furloughs thereof. Thou makest it soft. The showers of rain. You know, got showers, hard rain, all different type of monsoons. So thou blessed the spring thereof. And then thou crowned the year with thy goodness, and thy paths drop fatness. That's rain. Thou drop upon the pastures of the wilderness, and the little hills rejoice every side. The pastures are clothed with flocks, and the valleys are also covered over with corn. They shout for joy. They also sing. So everything in this creation is waiting on this rain. So what is he talking about? About the dividing of the waters, one above the firmament. So on the earth you got liquid water. That's the water that you can jump in the water and get wet. But above the firmament is rivers too, but they vapors. It's vapors of water. And that's why he said it's vapors of rivers above. So he calls it those vapors through condensation. Those vapors turn into water and fall to the earth. And so Enoch talk about that. Enoch said that it's anointing, just like you anoint a man or you anoint somebody. It's anointing in the water that's in heaven. And so that anointing falls to earth. That's why everything on earth reaching up, the grass, the trees, and even telling you the flocks in verse 13. The pastures are clothed with flocks. That's all the herds, all the animals that he's dealing with in the temple and all that. The water is, they waiting on it. Everything waiting on that water, that anointed water that's in heaven. So what's the sun's purpose? That water is anointed in heaven. It falls on the earth, all over the earth. Then a place on the earth that he can't make it drop. So it falls, then that sun brings it back up, and it get re-anointed. Whatever it is he's doing with it, it get re-anointed again. It's a constant cycle. That's how he able to cause droughts, and like when he forced the Israelites to come into Egypt, he just caused a drought. And then they couldn't, nothing wasn't growing. They had no food. They had to go to Egypt. We see him doing it all over the place. But that's what David talking about right there. Is that water is the source of life on this planet, and that's what he was doing in the very beginning when he divided it. He put some of it up in the heavens, and then some of it on earth. That's what David talking about. So anyway, you go to 65, and this is what I wanted to shine light on this. 65 and 4. Blessed is the man who thou choosest and causes to approach unto him. We was talking about this last night. So he brings the man he want. He ain't got shit to do with nobody else. Man he want, that he already gonna deal with, he gonna draw him to him. Long before anybody else meet him. deal with him. He's going to bring him to him and cause an approach unto him. And then he made dwell in the courts, like David was saying, in the temple, right? The great congregation. And we will be satisfied with the goodness of thy house. And so even the temple. So the house and the temple was the same place. When you say the Lord's house, you're talking about the temple. And then another thing I want to shine light on was 5. By terrible things and righteousness will thou answer us, O God of our salvation. So he the God of salvation, not Yahweh. He the God of salvation. So when you go back to, it says, the God, I can't say that. I mean, that phrase. It says, the Lord thy God is one God. He ain't talking about God or the Creator. He's the Lord thy God is one God. He's the Savior. So that verse is in 43. Let me read it right quick. Somebody may not have heard this before. So you go to Isaiah 43, and it says, 43 says, 10, verse 10, 43:10. Ye are my witnesses, said the Lord, and my servants whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me and understand that I am he, and before me there was no God formed. So that God ain't talking about Yahweh, because Yahweh wasn't formed. Neither shall there be after me. Even I am the Lord, and besides me there's no Savior. So that's why he's saying the God of our salvation. He ain't talking about Yahweh. And that's what that means when it says, the Lord thy God is one God. He the God over Israel, the Savior. He ain't trying to be Yahweh. Okay. So that's what I want to shine light on. Anybody got any comments?
Thank you, sir.
So,
Anybody have comments
Brother
on
Leonard, I
Okay.
do. You were breaking down verse 9, right? So, where it says, with the river of God, is that in heaven and on earth? Where it
No,
says,
the river of God,
verse 9, right?
the river of God is full of water. That's the water that's what anointing is. You know,
Okay,
those
okay.
rivers. And then if you know anything about the Egyptians, they like I said, that's where those fallen angels came down there. They talk about that too. How they talk about they every one of those pharaohs, they bury a boat with him, because they say he's gonna use this boat for the celestial rivers. He's gonna use the boat for the celestial rivers. So that's just something to think about. But yeah, that's what he's talking about. Those it's just like on the earth. You got the Nile River, Euphrates, and all that. You got rivers just as big in heaven, but they
Mm-hmm.
vapors in the sky.
Okay, okay,
That's where the rain coming from. Those are the
okay.
rivers of God. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Understand better. Okay.
Okay. So
Thank
anybody else
you,
got anything?
Sister. Well, I just want to thank Sister Michelle for asking that question. That didn't occur to me, but thank you for clearing that up. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
shalom. Thank you too, because I thought maybe when you said that, I meant I look at the sky being blue, so that could be the waters up in heaven, being that it was clear or blue, but that's not the case.
Yeah, yeah.
Correct?
So another place to go to. Let's look at this right quick. Go to the flood in Genesis 9. Yeah, this also explain it too. Once you understand what's going on, so it says, okay, it says, yeah, verse 10, chapter 7, Genesis. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth, and the 600th year of the Noah's life, in the second month, in the 17th day of the month, the self same day were the fountains. See that? The fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows. So the fountains is under the oceans, under the rivers, and then the windows is in heaven. They open. The vapors, the windows, the rain came down. and also the fountains. And then the same thing happened when it stopped. It said the windows was closed, and then the fountains was closed up. That's what it's talking about. Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna do our women's health. Anybody got? We're gonna deal with that right quick.
Yes, shalom, everyone. Please note that the information that is shared is intended for general, informational, and educational purposes only and is not medical advice or recommended treatment. Tonight's health discussion will be on foods that are good for your liver. The liver is the second largest organ of your body. The liver looks something like a football and is responsible for things like producing proteins, cholesterol, and bile, to also storing vitamins, minerals, and even carbohydrates. It also breaks down toxins like alcohol, medications, and natural byproducts of metabolism. Keeping your liver in good shape is important for maintaining health. Many of us abuse our liver without even knowing it with things like drinking too much alcohol, eating processed or fried foods, or even being just a little overweight. Typically, your liver does a good job filtering out all these toxins. But with the number of toxins in today's food and environment, your liver may have a hard time keeping up and instead will store these occasional toxins in fat cells. They can put unnecessary strain on your liver and can cause occasional fatigue, brain fog, and even bloating. Now that we have decided that we will show some love to our liver, here are a few important foods that will nourish our bodies with the right nutrients and keep it healthy for a long time to come. We can reverse the damage caused by an even changing lifestyle with the right nutritions. I'm sorry. So if you are asking yourself how to keep your liver healthy, then this is the exact way to boost the liver's function. Do you know that if you're able to detox the liver in an optimum way, it can also increase your chances of losing weight? Power up your body with these right foods and enable your body to detoxify. Apple cider vinegar. This is one of the best remedies to naturally detox your liver. You can have ACV right before your meals, and this will help to metabolize the fat easily. Turmeric. Turmeric is great for your liver health, period. It not only contains antioxidants galore, but it has antiseptic properties too. Papaya, garlic, spinach, and carrot juice are also good for your liver. Citrus fruits like lemons, limes, and grapefruits. They are all extremely potent sources of vitamin C and are loaded with antioxidants. Try to include more of them in your diet to boost enzyme production, which leads to the liver detoxification process. This is just to name a few. The bottom line is when you get your liver healthy and operating at a peak performance, a lot of other problems just seem to solve themselves. I'm going to read Proverbs chapter 11, verses 10 through 17, rejoicing with the righteous. Verse 10, when it goeth well with the righteous, the city rejoiceth, and when the wicked perish, there is shouting. By the blessing of the upright, the city is exalted, but it is overthrown by the mouth of the wicked. 12. He that is void of wisdom despiseth his neighbor, but a man of understanding holdeth his peace. A talebearer revealeth secrets, but he that is of a faithful spirit concealeth the matter. Verse 14, where no counsel is, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors there is safety. He that is surety for a stranger shall smart for it, and he that hateth suretyship is sure. Verse 16, A gracious woman retaineth honor, and a strong man retain riches. Verse 17, the merciful man doeth good to his own soul, but he that is cruel troubleth his own flesh. That was a discussion on foods that are good for your liver, and I read Proverbs chapter 11, verses 10 through 17, rejoicing with the righteous.
Okay. Anybody have any comments on that? Yeah. So a liver is just like a filter in a car. So you got to change the filter in the car. You imagine the importance of the liver and taking care of it. Is that something?
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So we're going to do some current events. Like quick.
Be worried about another outbreak, another sickness here in America. Well, I think that's always on our minds because we've lived through the last few years. Well, there's a sickness that has just broken out in 2 states. The problem with those 2 states, they have one thing in common. That one thing in common could be a problem, and also that one thing in common can be the solution. I know that makes no sense right now, but let's jump into this video. I think that there's some things that we need to be wise about and understand some information about and put our thinking caps on. Let's try to bring the two together. It's parallel roads, and I'm scared they're going to cross somewhere. That's the part that should concern us. Let's jump into this video because it can really affect us, especially to see what actually comes next. This video is going to be a good one. It starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so much for being here. This is a more serious video because I want you to understand what's really going on. Our goal for our channel is always to be informative, and hopefully we can gain wisdom as a society, and also that we can learn to prepare, we can learn to homestead, and we can learn to live a sustainable life. But our world throws us some curveballs, so we have to seek information and gain wisdom. Before we get in this video, remember, we are going to be doing our giveaway this video. So we're going to be giving it away to one of our lucky subscribers that subscribe to both channels. So at the end of the video, we will give that away. It's going to be a big seed haul, again, from Survival Seeds. It's several seeds that can hopefully help you as you prepare for your fall gardens. We cannot end to see if you are the winner. So let's jump into the video. It's not about fear-mongering. It's not about scare tactics. But there's been an outbreak. After 20 years, there's been an outbreak of malaria in 2 states. Texas and Florida. Now on the front end, we're a developed country. So when we hear about things like this, sometimes they're hyped up and we say, you know what, hey, we'll handle it. There's been several variations of different sicknesses that we've seen, different flus, all that stuff. And so it kind of makes us fear a little bit, but pretty much it's like, okay, we have medicine for that. Well, that's something to think about. There's some people say, hey, we're just going to let it kind of do its course. That's something to think about too. Now, when it comes to malaria, 20 years, we all of a sudden see it in Texas and Florida. There's a few concerns that I think we need to dive into when it comes to this outbreak. That's always pushed that malaria is caused by mosquitoes, climate change, we hear that all the time. It's caused by the heat, other insects like ticks that are insects that tend to carry diseases. We hear about a lot of third world countries that have problems with malaria. So, you see people send the mosquito nets, you see people send medicines, and we're worried about outbreaks across the world. Now, why is it happening here in America? That's the thing I want us to think about, because, again, a developed nation, something we haven't seen in 20 years, why all of a sudden are we seeing it? Is this parasite that's usually mosquito-based, is it coming across with people? Probably not. So they're blaming it on climate change and then the maneuvering of insects. Here's the 2 things I want us to think about in this video today. There is a medicine that can treat this and you can get routinely well. Who owns that medicine? Who is one of the largest investors in medicine and pharmaceuticals? It's the same guy who's the largest farm owner in the United States, this guy. Now, why do we bring him up? Why is it important? Oh, you're saying, oh, hey, he didn't know this. I mean, look, he's just prepared. We have a vaccine ready just in case for things like this to happen, which blows my mind. It seems like we always have a vaccine ready for what's coming. So anyways, beside the point. Why is it a big deal that now we have a solution? It's a vaccine that can fix all this malaria situation, which is good because we don't need an outbreak. It may be pure coincidence pure coincidence that this gentleman has made medication and invested in this medication to be made. Here's another coincidence. Pure coincidence, I'm believing. Pure coincidence. And you can look this up for yourself. Please don't take any information I give you other than just saying, hey, just seek wisdom with it. There's a CDC study that said that they released genetically modified mosquitoes in these two states, Florida and Texas. So the whole point of these genetically modified mosquitoes was to help with preventing outbreaks, preventing disease spreading. Now that's still a little crazy to me. Why are we even doing that? Why are we manipulating any animal or insect? It's kind of like, why do we deal with viruses in labs? It doesn't make sense to me. Why do we want to cause a problem? Oh, wait, they're meant to prevent disease. And hopefully they will. But it's weird that in 20 years we've not seen malaria. And all of a sudden the two states that had a release of these genetically modified mosquitoes are the two states that somehow just coincidentally is starting to see the malaria and starting to see this outbreak. That's just a few people, but they're saying it is spreading. So what happens when something like this takes place? Well, we need medicine for it. We have to heal our bodies. We don't want to see vomiting and fatigue. We don't want to see anyone sick, so we give them medicine. Here's the problem. Maybe coincidental. Who's one of the largest investors and who's one of the ones who pushed for these mosquitoes to be released? Do your research. I'm just saying it could be all coincidental, but it's weird how the cause, maybe, of what's going on could be what gives the solution to what's going on. I think we just need to look past the fact that there's just a new outbreak of something that hadn't been there in 20 years, and all of a sudden it's because we're modifying something. Maybe, just maybe. Just think for yourself. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying it's very coincidental that all of a sudden we have a malaria outbreak in the states that have been released with these genetically modified mosquitoes that helps prevent the spread of diseases. And all of a sudden these are the two states that have malaria. And then all of a sudden we just happen to have a vaccine that was just created for this event. So can we heal the situation? Yes. One thing that the last few years should have taught you is that we can be manipulated pretty easy. And not only that, what the lockdowns did also show us was that the maneuvering of wealth, the maneuvering of money, where the rich got richer and the poor got more impoverished and more dependent on the information that was given to them because they needed help. And really they did. People needed help. They lost jobs or couldn't get to their jobs. There was a lot of worry there. Let's fast forward to right now. When we talk about GMO anything, when we talk about modifying corn, when we talk about modifying all this food, when we talk about modifying animals, we actually believe we can play God to all of a sudden heal and prevent and make everything better. It's amazing to think that we believe as a human society in our finite minds can make something so much better than an infinite God and the creator of this world. Now, if you don't believe as a Christian like I do, you can still see that this world went just fine without people putting their 2 cents in all the time when it comes to food. Innovation's wonderful. Medicine is wonderful. But when we try to play God and we try to gain infinite wisdom, we end up failing. What have we seen? What have we talked about with all this genetically modified food? We're realizing it's making us more sick. So therefore, we're needing more medication to take care of us in our older age. What have we realized about technology and all this wonderful consumer things that we can buy and Amazon and all this stuff that we can have? It's good to have, but guess what? No one knows how to save money anymore. So also now we become dependent more on the system too. We live in a broken system to where we think as humans that we can fix everything. Sometimes it's not for us to fix. So do your research on this malaria situation. Why are we having outbreaks? Why is it coincidentally in the two places that mosquitoes were genetically modified and released to prevent outbreaks such as this? And all of a sudden do we have the medicine ready to go? That's some concerns. And I think if we don't realize the players behind it, like this guy, and we don't realize that these are government reports, hey, don't believe me. Just please do your research and see what is happening. Look at the research on genetically modified food. compared to holistic food. Look at the research on all this trash we're putting in our body. Not really with this video, but there's 2 more pharmaceutical medicines dealing with diabetics. Now they're worried about having some side effects too. Do your research.
Okay. Any comments on that?
Shalom. That does sound odd, and it sounds like it's back in the arena of the COVID situation to me.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, I was on YouTube earlier today and just flipping through, and one they was having a discussion that was said that Bill Gates let go mosquitoes into the rainforest that had that will give, if they once they come out, it will give people malaria if they bite them. That was said on there, so I don't know how true that is, but it was just something that is being said.
Evidently, it must be true because the guy just said he got outbreaks. So it's not, like you were saying, it can't be a coincidence. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, you got another video right here.
So on this channel, I put out a video saying the power grid collapsed. And this video is based around kind of what's starting to happen right now with these cyber attacks. These cyber attacks are really starting to heat up.
3 days
And that
ago.
video was made based on what this man in the thumbnail said, that banks could potentially be going down, hospital services could be going down. We could see a real big issue with food supply, shipping, distribution, trucking, as the power grid faces stresses and strains that we've never before seen. Now, the more I look into it, the more we pay attention to what happened over the weekend, the more we should really be cautious. Now, I'm not saying this to concern anyone, but I'm going to lay out a chain of facts that have happened and that are happening now for us to have a conversation about it below in the comments. Drop your comments below. Let me know how you see this all playing out. Now, on this channel, all I talk about is personal finance, real estate, business, and money. That's it. But when we're talking about the entire financial system, we're talking about the economy getting completely reshaped. I think it rises above nearly everything else. So hit the like button if you want. Hit the like button, YouTube will share the content. If not, whatever. Today's video is sponsored by GreatCreditFast.com. You want to fix your credit? We'd love to help you. We have a team of experts in my office. We're helping a lot of people. We'd love to help you. GreatCreditFast.com. Take a look at this. So this company, CyberPolygon, they're associated with WF, right? Everyone knows about this guy here. People have seen him all across the internet. They've seen his speeches, and this guy right here on my thumbnail. Now, this guy has been a part of WF for 52 years. 52 years. It's not like a fly-by-night operation. If you put, they always say that you are a collection of the 2 or 3 people you spend most time with. Now, imagine you spent most of your time with some of the wealthiest, most powerful business people in the world, the most powerful companies and corporations and governments and entities in the world, and you all had one mission, and you guys worked together on it for half a century. What do you think the outcome would be? It would probably be pretty favorable for your group, right? Because you guys are putting all your resources and power together. And that's exactly what's happening right now. We're seeing something pretty huge here. So look at this. Klaus, they have Microsoft, Visa, MasterCard, UNICEF, Interpol, like some pretty big players. 200 organizations, 48 countries. But look at this. So their group.
Deepfake videos are everywhere now. Using fake catcher
is basically a collection of banks. They're partners and participants. You have IBM, but you also have SBER Bank, you have Deutsche Bank, you have all these different banks, Gulf Bank, all these different banks that are working together because they are concerned about a potential cyber attack, right? This is what they're saying. They're concerned about a potential cyber attack, and they're all these banks working together. But look at what is happening. Cyber attacks impacts U.S. federal government, NATO allies. Here's what we know about the breach so far. So you just go on Google, and you just put in, let's say, just the last week, right? The last
week, and you start to pay attention. Major cyber attack at OMV vendor. Every Louisiana driver's license holder exposed. Maryland leaders, exclusive U.S. government agencies hit. European investment bank hit. You start to just connect the dots. All this is like 9 hours ago, 23 hours ago, 2 hours ago. Nuclear security, like you see what's happening, right? Microsoft 5 hours ago. It's starting to really, really amplify. It's starting to really, really pick up. And they say that 68% of all organizations suffered a cyber attack in the past year. Now, imagine 5 years ago, how many cyber attacks were there? I never heard of one. But I wasn't studying cyber attacks 5 years ago, for full transparency. It wasn't on my mind. I wasn't really thinking about cyber attacks. But I never heard of it, right? Now you're starting to hear about it almost all the time. And so you're seeing that the direction is heading more in this wave of cyber attacks. Now, on a side note, FedNow is starting to launch in 2 weeks, in July, 2 weeks. Actually, a little bit less than 2 weeks. So, but look at this map. So this all kind of, in my opinion, is, I'm going to lay out and connect the dots and we can have a conversation at the end. But in 1900, the gold standard, right? The gold standard gives value to the dollar. The Federal Reserve Board is created to ensure, let's fix this, there we go, is created to ensure, let's click on it, maybe that'll be easier. Here we go. The Federal Reserve is created to ensure gold-backed checks and banknotes. Cash is no longer tied to the gold standard. 1933, 1958, Visa, Bank, AmeriCard, and American Express first launched in 1958, MasterCard 1966, right? ACH 1970s, FedWire 1980s, 2015 same day wire, then RTP 2017, and then FedNow. So you see that of the last 125 years, they rank FedNow as one of the top 10 most important things in the financial system. So that is something to pay attention to. Another thing to pay attention to is Macron is asking for an invitation to join BRICS.
Exactly.
Right? This all connects the dots, by the way. So right now, BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So total population of the current 5 countries is 41.44% of the entire world's population, about 3.27 billion people. Now, these are all of the countries that are ready to join. So of the 41% of the global population, this does not factor in for any of these other populations. Afghanistan, Algeria, Argentina, Bahrain, Bangladesh, Belarus, Egypt, Indonesia, Iran, Kazakhstan, Mexico, Nicaragua, Nigeria, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Senegal, Sudan, Syria, UAE, Thailand, Tunisia, Turkey, Uruguay, Venezuela, and Zimbabwe, right? And then now France is trying to push forward too. There's going to be more and more and more countries that are going to continue to join. So if you were to add all these countries in, and already at 41% of the global population, my guess is they'll probably have roughly half of the world's population collectively if they were to get accepted, right? Collectively, half of the world's population. And what are we seeing here in America? We're seeing immense money printing, record high inflation. The US dollar was supposed to be a global store of value, and now that is being questioned. And I think it's going to continue to get questioned in the years to come. Now, we look at what's happening now. IMF working on a global central bank digital currency platform. This came out today. Today came out. So I started looking at the digital dollar. I'm like, okay, maybe I can find some information, talk about it in this video about the digital dollar. So I look at this lady, Valerie Abend. So all I did was go to About, click Advisory Group, then clicked Valerie, looked at her LinkedIn, simple. Now, she was at the Federal Reserve Board 12 years ago, right? 2009 to 2010, 13 years ago. And then she was also at the US Treasury, right? So she's been, and then she's working at cybersecurity. So she worked at the Fed, worked at the Treasury, cybersecurity. Now she's working on this digital dollar. And she's working with this entire team to push forward this digital dollar. Now, this digital dollar, I think, is going to play a very, very unique role because we hear a lot about climate. We hear a lot about this. Well, connect the dots here. They say, and again, this would be from them, that the world needs to be more inclusive, needs to be more about sustainability, climate, environment, keeping things fair and equal for everybody, and giving everyone a better life together without other countries suffering, with other countries flourishing, right? They want everyone to be perfect, right? This is what they say. So, and again, I don't inject my opinions. I'm just laying out the facts. This is what they say. So, what is China's role at the Paris Summit, the new global financial pact? And it could play a crucial role in the upcoming global financial summit that aims to help developing countries address a series of crises, including climate. Experts have told China Dialogue the summit for a new global financial pact will be held in Paris this week, 22nd and 23rd. The French hosts are seeking to reform the global financial system so that the developing countries might face better challenges of climate, reshape the global financial system because of challenges of climate and sustainable development. Nearly 70 countries are facing debt crisis, with many of them also on the front line of extreme weather events and struggling to meet UN Sustainable Development Goals, a collection of 17 target adoptions by all United Nations members since 2015, right? So, okay, well, let's look at this. One focus is to reform multilateral development banks, NDBs. These institutions, such as the World Bank, provide longer-run affordable financing for governments for projects that private sector would not finance, such as roads, railways, and bridges. Currently, MDBs aren't large enough to meet the needs. Kevin Gallagher, director of Boston University Development Policy Center, tells China Dialogue. Furthermore, these policies are not consistent with green and inclusive development. Gallagher notes a third problem is that the voice of representation of the developing countries are small relative to Western powers that do not borrow. Motley underlined another problem. The global north borrows with interest rates between 1% and 4%, the global south at 14%. And then we wonder why energy partnerships are not working. Moreover, high inflation means the cost of borrowing is growing. Okay, so if they can only borrow money at cheaper rates, then they'd be able to move forward on these goals, right, to make the world more inclusive. So, okay, well, let's look at some of the benefits of the CBDC. So they say that it would secure the reliable means of digital payments for remittance. CBDCs can use online and offline for transactions, right, and increase the speed and lower the cost for cross-border payments. Now, cross-border payments maybe lower the cost, maybe that benefits them, maybe not. But look at this. In America, almost $80 billion leaves the U.S. banking system in the last week. So if we have a situation where the banking system is going under immense pressure, and we start to see more and more of these cyber situations, and we start to see more and more pressure under these regional banks, could we have a situation to where we walk into a very, very big problem and FedNow comes to the rescue, and then we slowly start to move into a direction, and that direction then happens to be safer, issue a little bit more security with cyber threats, and it offers a global, inclusive type of relationship in which banks and partners all over the world can move forward and initiate their goals for sustainable development. Is it possible? I don't know, let's look at it. So if we look at what's going on overseas, we're seeing a lot of problems here, and there could be any chain of events that could move forward. But I'm personally betting that what we are very likely going to see is immense change in the U.S. financial system. We're going to see more and more countries leave the dollar. We're going to see a very, very big shift towards central bank digital currencies over the years to come. And I think we could very well see a cyber attack. And, you know, as the old saying goes, problem, reaction, solution. Step into a massive problem, the world reacts. Before we're presented with a solution, the solution might just be one that, you know, benefits the world. What do you think? Drop below. Let's have a conversation.
Okay. Any comments on that? Okay. Yeah, so that's what's coming from my observation. It's a cyber attack coming. It's going to change the whole face of, it's tied to the banks. Bankers, like I say, just like you hear me talking about thinking like a Hebrew. Well, if you ain't no Hebrew, you can't think like a Hebrew. If you ain't no banker, these bankers, they thinking like bankers. The average, that's like less than 1% of the world. That's bankers. They know all this stuff that's getting ready to happen. They bankers. We ain't no bankers. We walking around like bumping into each other like robots. But they already know, plotting and scheming. They know exactly how to do it on a mass level. You know, they do that on a daily basis. Yeah. So, with that being said, it's something to think about. Open it up for Q&A. Anybody have any questions or comments about
Shalom.
Anything?
Um, I heard, I guess this week, about China trying to take Taiwan, and Taiwan makes, they said something like 85% of the chips that are
Right,
cards and stuff. So China trying to take Taiwan, so they'll be in charge of that, the chip.
right. Yeah, that goes right back to what the guy was just talking about, cyber attack. Those chips are all that tied to that.
Yes,
And like
sir.
the average person don't know nothing about none of that. It's gonna be like the Lord of hosts said, suddenly for the masses, but they already know what they're doing. They plotting and scheming on. Like he said, all these banks readjusting, making all these adjustments, but we don't know that. But being that he's a financial analyst or whatever, he's looking at that and he see it. How all these banks are making all these different adjustments and moving around and all that. Yeah, because they know what's getting ready to happen and what they're getting ready to do. Okay. Any other questions or comments about anything before we play this little video right here like quick? I thought it was pretty interesting. It's they've done away with affirmative action. Like I said, it's like all of a sudden this racism coming out of nowhere and everybody acting like it ain't happening.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. Well, the unfair, unrepentant nation is at it again. So right now, the Supreme Court is divided over affirmative action. They're saying that race cannot be an issue, right? So I want to get into this topic, but of course, you know that the reason why race had to be put in there in the first place is because they were already not allowing certain groups in, right? And they want to pretend like they were doing it because so-called African Americans weren't measuring up, so we had to put this little clause in place so that they could, you know what I'm saying, so that some of them could scoot in. But we all know that if your pockets are deep enough and your skin is light enough, that mommy and daddy can buy your way into top-notch colleges. We already saw that proven with those celebrities that were busted for doing just that. Do you think they're the only ones? Anyway, let me get into the story.
How's the chicken? If the prawns are delicious.
So it says the Supreme Court outlaws affirmative action in college admissions, and they say that you can't use race. Whatever. Okay, it has struck down affirmative action in college admission, forcing institutions of higher learning to look for new ways to achieve diverse student bodies. Okay, new ways. Okay, let me continue. It says a divided Supreme Court on Thursday struck down affirmative action in college admissions, declaring race cannot be a factor and forcing institutions of higher education to look for new ways to achieve diverse student bodies. The court's conservative majority effectively overturned cases reaching back 45 years and invalidating admissions plans at Harvard and University of North Carolina, the nation's oldest private and public colleges, respectively. The decision, like last year's momentous abortion ruling that overturned Roe versus Wade, marked the realization of a long-sought conservative legal goal in finding the race-conscious admissions plans violate the Constitution. And
So here we go again. All of a sudden now they overturn affirmative action. Any comments on that? You see this racist agenda, like I said,
Just
sticking
like
his head.
Roe versus Wade overturned, they constantly overturning things right now for their
Right.
new world order.
Exactly. Racist. It's a racist. That's what it is. Like, okay. So with that being said, we'll go into the topic of the discussion, which is I got play a couple videos and they discussed it. Is Hebrew Israelite women's, it's looking at things from a Hebrew Israelite woman perspective. So we're just going to see what some of the Hebrew Israelite women out there saying, and then bounce off of it. Okay, so the first one.
You know about that. With that being said, when I first came into the truth, hearing it from other men, it was kind of iffy because, like I was saying, it made you feel like, oh, like I'm just supposed to, like it makes you feel like he runs you. Yeah. But it's not like that. You have to live in your respective place. You have a place in his life. Your place is not to be the head of him and everybody else. For example, like my brother was married to a woman, and in society, technically, she was the head. She had a degree. She made the money. My brother didn't. But that ruined their relationship because of her mental. Because she felt like I'm the man. I can tell you what to do. I can run you. I make the money. You know what I mean? You have a certain place. It doesn't mean that I'm weak or that I'm less than what he is. It's just he has a place to be the man, he is the spokesperson for your family. You know, because as women, we can be catty and we deal with feelings, whereas men will deal more with what makes sense, their logic. So it's just different. You have a respective place. So for me, the way I watched, like, my dad went to work. He worked like 12-hour shifts every day. He was the breadwinner of our family. He took care of me and my mom. And my mom worked a job, but she came home and cooked and cleaned and kept up a house. You know, so I've seen it in a different perspective than what like society is teaching us now. Which I'm not saying that a woman can't go out and chase your dreams or, you know, do your thing or whatever. But at the same time, don't let that get, you know what I'm saying? Don't let it get into your mental where you feel like I don't need a man, because to a certain extent you do. If you go out here on the street, like he would tell me, baby, when we used to go out, like, you can't be out here popping off on these dudes because that's how I was. I don't care. I'm not gonna take no disrespect from nobody. But I had to realize I'm with a man now. So if I'm popping off on him, what you think he's gonna do? So now you gotta fight this man and whoever else because I don't know how to control my mouth. I don't know how to be quiet. I don't know how to stay in my place. You know what I'm saying? So it puts your man in an iffy situation if you are in a relationship. And for a lot of women, when you don't know how to control your mouth or conduct yourself in a certain way, that will turn a man, that will turn him off from you. And dudes will come into your life and play you and treat you however. And that's just stuff that I've learned from my own personal experiences. You know, like I just was in this truth for like maybe a year and a half now. So before this, I was, you know, going to the club every Friday, Saturday night, doing my thing. And I had to realize that that's not where I was supposed to be, and that's not how I was supposed to carry and conduct myself, because I'm better than that. You know?
According to the Bible, I'm going to bring this one out, and then let me brother bring this up. This is the book of Titus, chapter 2, starting at verse 3. The aged woman, likewise, they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chasten, keepers at home, good, obedient to their husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed.
By discreet means like covered up, not showing off cleavage, not showing, you know,
okay,
showing
so
physique,
with me wearing this attire would have been.
That's it's not modest. Yes.
Okay.
Now this is 1 Timothy 2, 10 through 15, which is going over man's head, things of that nature. But which becometh woman professing godliness, which means she believes in God, so she professing godliness. Some women out here can't give birth to a child because the Most High is stripping their womb not to have kids. So, you know, it's a good thing to walk in the Most High because a lot of women want to have kids. So if you're not really, I said it's gonna happen to everybody, but you can if you choose, you to not let you choose.
Now there are a lot of women who don't believe that have children, and there's a lot of people who don't deserve kids, really, that have a whole bunch of kids.
Right.
So like, I can't really say that. But as you were speaking on with your mother and your father, with me, my mother and my father, I witnessed a couple that was equally yoked. It was no. My mom is very Christian, so she believes that my dad was the head of the household, and so that's how I was raised to see it. But they didn't put one person above the other. Like, I don't feel like, I I don't feel like my mom
in society
had like a place
on top, right? In society, the woman is God, the woman is this, that, and third. We put y'all on pedestals, which is not saying y'all don't on pedestals, but we put society has put y'all in such a high place. A lot of respect has been taken from the man, so you don't respect the man naturally because you're such on a high pedestal. And a lot of men are kissing your feet. Not saying y'all should kiss our feet, not saying that, but it's all about the Most High deals with balance, and He deals with levels. Who is who? Who is who? Because when it's time to protect, you run to us, the man of the house. The person that's different, but your family putting being equal, that's cool. But you still gotta recognize that it's levels to this. It's levels to the Most High. It's not that since we do recognize that we're equal, but the Most High put me ahead of you to teach you, to be your protector, to be your provider, and things of that nature. That don't mean we can't argue bills. Yes, man, right, allowing them to lead.
Yeah, the godly man not gonna disrespect no woman. That's not that. It ain't no bitches, no, it ain't none of that shit. Like, you gonna treat your woman like a right. Just like she is. Like, yeah. And so what real Hebrew Israelites believe in, not the wild shit you see in the jinx outside. That's what the white people come up with, just like they kill our black people and say, well, the police officer was scared.
Okay, any comments on that?
Enter via West 24.
Well, isn't there some, Shalom, isn't there some mentionings out of the New Testament about how they should be? And when he said it in First Timothy, I don't think he gave the verse, but yes. Are they reading from the New Testament, correct?
Right. That's why I stopped over there. Because you know, I don't deal with New Testament. It's all it is they jumping off of the Old Testament. Like we see in that, we see the Old Testament got a Messiah, and then they got a Messiah, but the one in the New Testament is fake. So what you see him talking about in Timothy is in the Tanakh. That's where it come from. That's where the meat come from. So I'll play some videos to try to get the conversation going, but I don't deal with New Testament. When you understand what's really going on there. Right.
Shalom.
Right.
Yes, we all heard that they were coming out from the New Testament, but the part that is that I agree with is that everybody, just like the Lord of Hosts and Gabriel and Raphael and everybody who has a role, a place,
right. Exactly.
that part I agree with.
Right.
The women's role is just that, a woman's role, not a man's role.
Right.
And that helped me that back in the garden, you're that when the provider, being the head of the house, the man, needs you to be. Or in cases of Abigail and those that, when they changed the name and made it look like it was a woman, but it was probably a man. But in places where you can help, you're allowed to help because that's why you're there. You're a help me, So that portion of it, as a Hebrew Israelite woman, I agree that everyone has a role and a place.
Okay.
Shalom. Yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. The first sister that was speaking, and she was speaking of the roles, and she spoke a little bit about before she came into the truth, how she was and what it took for her after she came into the truth, right? So that's the big part. You're understanding the role, but we have all been in the worldly sauce. So
get exposed.
Right, exactly. So you have to work on becoming that Hebrew Israelite woman, and in a single Hebrew Israelite woman and a Hebrew Israelite woman that has a mate seems to understand a little bit more. When you have a righteous man, like the brother said, he's not going to call you bees. He's not going to say this. He's not going to say that. He's not going to, because he's following the Lord of hosts, the Most High, whichever way you want to say it. So he's going to treat you accordingly, and one more thing I wanted to say too, Brother Leonard, is that a lot of us as women have fallen out of our place because what has taken place. So we have to get back to the foundation of the Hebrew Israelite woman. So when you hear a brother that say, he was saying, the woman can't talk too much, when you're out there, with your mate and you're being mouthy, you're doing this, you can't do that. It's a certain way you can't act. So you got to work on controlling your tongue, your mouth, and your behavior.
Right.
We could see what happened to us in Isaiah chapter 3.
Right.
When we were being prideful, when we were being haughty, whatever you want to call it, we can see what can happen because the Lord of hosts, he doesn't like pride, so the biggest thing is, I think we have to remain humble and get back to the foundation of a true Hebrew Israelite woman. And it doesn't come overnight. It
Right.
doesn't come overnight.
Yeah. So I got a prime example of that, which is, it just makes all the sense in the world. Like, let's just say the Nile River. It's parts of the Nile River that's infested with crocodiles, right? And so you on one side of the river, you're trying to get to the other side. But when you get there, it's you and a few other people, and y'all trying to cross. Well, when you get there, all these crocodiles is on the bank, sleep, right? So you're gonna get in the water, start splashing all around, or you're gonna ease in the water like everybody else and ease on across to the other side. If you get in there and start splashing around, they're gonna wake up and they come and get in the water. So it's the same thing. It's like wearing some spandex or some Daisy Duke shorts. Look at all the drama that's gonna happen from doing that. For me,
right.
It's the same thing. It's just common sense. It's unnecessary drama. Yeah. And it's in, all, when you look at it, all aspects. And another prime example is that we went over before was in the book of Adam and Eve, when we know these seven angels, we know, especially Michael, we know who Michael is. So he got him, he posted him at the entrance back into the garden. He got him there, but Adam feeling a certain type of way because he wasn't never exposed to the outside the garden. So now he came back to the gate, and so Michael uneasy. Why? He uneasy. Right. But look how more powerful he is than Adam. So he can say, "Well, damn, he ain't shit." I'm the Archangel Michael. He ain't shit, but he know Yahweh love Adam. So it ain't got nothing to do with his power, with his strength. So he on edge because he going by what the Creator then set up. Damn, how much power he got and all that. He looking at what the Most High set up, and so now he on edge because he knows it's a certain type of way he gotta deal with him.
Right.
Yes, and then he was in that same situation again with Abraham when it's time for Abraham to die. He sent him to go get Abraham, and Abraham said he wasn't ready to die. So he could have hit his ass with a lightning bolt, but he got thrown off because he's saying this Most High friend. I gotta do is an order. So that's a way to look at that.
Right. Yes, sir. And one more thing I want to mention about the video that the young lady said that no, I think it was the gentleman that said something about they got it now where the men are kissing the women's feet, but the women should be kissing the men's feet. That goes back to, I think I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that as Hebrew Israelite women, we have to let go of too what we learned in the worldly sauce as far as receiving flowers, gifts, birthday celebrations, being, all of that. that's not the way it works.
Right.
And I see where a lot of women have a problem with that. You know, they can't let that part of it go.
Right.
It's bigger than that. It's spiritual. It's not about the gifts. It's not about, you know, him bringing you flowers or he remembering your birthday and things like that. And, you know, that part we have to, you know, get away from, because that was not part of our culture. I don't see that anywhere in the scriptures.
Right. Yeah. A prime example of that too is, you know, it just like I said, once you get into the started finding out and learning different stuff about our culture and our past and all that. So look at David. How David was the most high elevated David. So just the songs. David wrote all the songs. He could be walking around with his head stuck in the air saying all these songs I wrote. But go back and look at his role. Why did he write all those songs? Because they built the temple. And then Mosiah got a whole lineage, thousands and thousands of Negroes and women that could sing. So David played his role. He wrote the songs. And we still dealing with those songs to the day. He didn't write them because the way he was at, the Most High had him positioned that. He's looking at his role. And the Most High got a temple and he got feast days and all that. And so they started dealing with not only him, ASAP and all those other chief musicians. They wrote those songs. Most High informed him and commanded him to do that. So just reading the song, looking at it, you that's all you think it is, but it's way more than that. It's not. They got us looking at, like I said, we're in the beast system. That's what a lot of people don't understand. We're in a beast system, which is everything contrary to who we are as a people. That's what the beast system is. Like I said, Esau follow his lineage through the woman, and Most High don't says the male is to carry the seed. So that show you right there how backwards this. Most High said, don't lend nobody no money with no interest on it. They lend people money with interest on it.
Oh yeah.
We go to the bank and get loans with interest on it. That's a sin. But we're assuming that's cool. No, it ain't cool. It's not cool. That's what's gonna get shut down when he come back. All those things that we acting as if they good and they ain't good. Okay. Somebody had something? Okay. Nobody else have anything on that? Got one more video.
We've been talking about correction thus far, and we talked about how there are scriptures that refer to how we are to correct our children. But if we put ourselves in the role as the child, as the children or the daughters of the Most High Yah, and read those same scriptures, he's going to use that rod of correction on us. Now, we've talked about how he uses it through circumstances, and we also were just talking about how he uses it through people. And one of the persons that he will use is a man of Yah. Okay? And it's just so important to remember the wisdom in acknowledging and accepting your correction. Let's go to the book of Hebrews, chapter 12.
You gotta take the mind with dealing with Christians. Take the meat, leave the bone.
And we are going to verses, let me see, hold on. Verses 5 through 7. The book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verses 5 through 7. Well, actually, really 5 through 11. And ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. Okay? So it says, we have forgotten that which speaks to us as to the children, is what we just talked about. Yeah, there's all those proverbs that talk about the correction of children, but we're his children. We're his children. So that same correction and rod of reproof, it's going to come on us too. And again, sometimes it's through circumstance, but oftentimes it's going to be through a man of the Most High. And secondly, it's going to be through one of your fellow sisters. Are you going to be ready for that? Hebrews 12, verse 5. And ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. My son, despise not, or my daughter, despise not thou the chastening of Jehovah, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. Don't faint. 6. For whom Jehovah loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son or daughter whom he receiveth. If you aren't being corrected,
that's when you start worrying.
Say it again.
That's when you start worrying.
If everything in your life is all rosy, 100% 24/7, and he's not trying to get your attention about anything, are you really his? See, that was a mistake I remember, or I should say I reflect on, and that's the misguidedness of Christianity. Because for them, your life's supposed to be all good all the time. And if it's not, it's just the devil. It rarely was attributed to you not living right. If it was, it's only because you weren't paying enough money. That's not what this is. You are going to be corrected if he loves you. Verse 7. If ye endure chastening, Yah dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the father chasteneth not? Are you going to let your children live in your house
There you go.
and not discipline them when they're wrong? You're not going to allow that for your children, so why do you think Yah's going to let you in his house without him correcting you? And oftentimes, that correction sounds harsh.
Might sting a little bit, right?
It might sting. It might even hurt. It might even make you cry.
Come on, sister.
But that's how he humbles you out of that pride and arrogance. Okay? And I'm going to say this for the single sisters. Okay? That is an area that the longer you're single sometimes becomes a lot more difficult to deal with. Because that pride and arrogance, because you only had the answer to you, so to speak, makes it difficult for you to be in a position to even be submissive to a man. But see, Yah's going to work to break you out of that through him. Because once he can break you out of that, then he might can place a man of Yah in your life. But he's not going to give you a man of Yah that you're not ready to submit to, that you're not ready to be corrected by. If you can't call on the Father when things are going on, you're not going to be able to go to that man in correction.
My brother Earl Baker was just saying, hi, ladies, shalom, not watching, but wanted to say shalom.
Shalom, brother Earl Baker.
Okay.
What's going to happen when they don't? Because here's the thing about correction and judgment. Ultimately, what is it for? What is it for?
For you to do better.
Do better is to repent. It's to repent so that we can make it into the kingdom. And a lot of times, as women, we bring a whole lot of baggage into the kingdom. And in trying to unload that baggage, we may continue to make some decisions as a result of that baggage because we haven't let it all go yet.
Okay, any comments? Because I can see she heading toward Jesus, but anybody got any comments?
Oh, that sister said a lot when she was speaking the truth when she was speaking. Okay. Can you share that channel with us, Brother Leonard?
Sister Talk.
Sister Talk?
Yeah, Sister Talk. Yeah, Sister Talk.
Okay,
The
so
name of the video, Sister Talk, Correction and Judgment. So you can go from there.
okay, so Brother Leonard, she spoke on wisdom, right?
Word.
And she went to the New Testament. So I'm gonna take us to the Old Testament, which is in Proverbs. There are plenty scriptures in Proverbs on wisdom, but I
Right.
want to read Proverbs 4 and 7.
Okay.
Proverbs 4, get understanding. This is verse 7. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. And then I'm going to take us to Proverbs 14 and 1. Right quick, please. Proverbs 14 and 1. The wise and the foolish. Verse 1. Every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. And like I said, all through Proverbs we can read on wisdom, right? So what you were saying is that when we listen to these videos, and I had to learn this, we have to learn how to take the meat, like you said, and throw away the bones, and reference back to the Old Testament.
Right,
That's
right.
where we're going to connect our dots from.
That's where it come from.
Because they copycatting us.
Right.
We're not copycatting them. We in the front of the book. They in the back of the book. So that's something I had to learn as a Hebrew Israelite woman, in understanding the scriptures and how it worked. And I learned that all through Prophets of Awakening, because when I came on Prophets of Awakening 5 years ago, I didn't know anything. I was not able to speak on anything. All praises to the Lord of hosts. So where I'm at today, I'm thankful. And I'm not going to throw that away. I'm not going to give honor to the New Testament at all in no kind of way, because I've learned how to take it back to the Old Testament. And that's what I mean by sometimes we learn a lot when we don't talk a lot. I didn't talk a lot at all when I first came on this channel, but I feel more comfortable speaking now because I have learned so much. And I'm just thankful for that. I don't know about nobody else, but I'm gonna give praise. I'm thankful for that.
Right. Anybody else got any comments on what the sister was talking about? Yeah, so that series right there is Sister Talk. They Messianic, but Sister Talk, Correction and Judgment. Can you handle the truth? It's like about 5 or 6 parts to it. I was just dealing with part 2, which it's got like I think maybe 10 parts to it. Each one of them like 30-some minutes long. So you want to check that out. So we down to the end. Anybody got anything they want to shine a light on or bring up before we leave, before we jet up? Yeah, so I think I know, matter of fact, I know tomorrow I'm trying to set up something on Clubhouse for tomorrow night, and then I'm gonna have a replay on the Shabbat on Saturday, because I'm gonna be out of pocket. So I'll be back on the scene on Tuesday for our advanced Bible study. But tomorrow we're gonna be on I'm trying to set it up for a Clubhouse if anybody want to, check it out. And then I have a replay on Saturday morning for the Shabbat. And then we come back together on Tuesday 8. Okay, everybody good?
Yes, sir. All praises. All praises.
Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom, and I'll see everybody on again Tuesday. check out the clubhouse. Okay. Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.